What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. We're back with some capital J journalist work here today. Pick us up, Athletic. We're doing a mid-season report.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Are you better now?
No.
All right. I'm your host, Kyle Demetrius. Back with me, as always, is JD. I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
Noted machine to your unnoted. Yeah.
I would like some damn credit once in a while. I didn't even get a birthday shout out last year. I didn't get a happy 2-year anniversary. Ugh.
I'm sorry.
It's not your fault. It's corporate greed. It's corporate capitalism's fault. Down with capitalism. ACAP, baby. I don't know if you want to stop listening to this episode now. I mean, that's fine. We don't really care.
This is gonna be a good one.
I like antagonizing the listeners because I really hope corporate listens to this one, and then we get it. We haven't. You know what? We haven't got a good corporate email in a while, slapping our wrists or telling us to do something better. I think they've just learned their lesson.
They just give it up on us.
Well, we're across the network. We're in one of the shittiest markets for hockey. Not that the listeners are bad. It's just there's a very finite amount of hockey listeners.
It's very niche. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not Toronto. It's not Boston. It's not Calgary, and so on and so forth. And we've built this into an absolute juggernaut that makes dick jokes and sends out memes. I don't know if you guys pay attention to other Locked On shows, but JD started putting little sharks as the bullet points for the episodes. Everybody else started doing that. We changed our name to Locked On Losing Streak, Locked On Arizona, whatever.
We were Locked On Leonard season, I think.
I think we were Locked On Scottsdale was the original one. Remember they couldn't get out. Yeah, so we were a lot of different things, and people do that now. And then we developed a brand. Then we're just the content boys because it's the best one. We were Locked On Timo Meier for one split second there.
Well, if you score 5 goals, you get to break. Yes,
it's true. Anyway, I don't know where we're going with this.
Mid-season ish.
Adjacent. Mid-season adjacent. It seems like longer. It seems like many seasons.
Yes. My favorite. I was humble brag here, but I was talking with our friend Josh from Smart Scouting, and
Josh?
he called it spring break, and I thought that was hilarious. So the NHL break here. We should just refer to it as spring break in the middle.
Sounds good. Timo's going to Cabo. No, he's going to the All-Star game.
He's going to Vegas first, baby.
Oh, yeah.
So, then he's going to Cabo. How many little cups of coffee will he be?
All of them.
Oh, man. Timo's Instagram game. Oh, I cannot wait.
Oh, so Vegas Timo? Yes!
So much potential.
He's got to be on his best behavior. Oh, man. He's got to be on his best behavior for the All-Star game. But, there's no chance. What do you think the percentage chance that we get Timo in a suit jacket with many white buttons undone walking around? We need one. We need it, damn it. People need it.
Please set odds on this.
How many buttons will be undone on Timo's dress shirt? At least 3 to 4.
I'm going to go 5.
That's a lot, man. That's a lot. If we have any listeners in Vegas and they can go stalk him and follow him around, and particularly at 2 a.m, and see how many buttons are undone, that would be of great service.
The last one's just hanging on there for dear life.
It's the middle one, yeah. Anyway,
all right. So the Sharks, we've reached a little bit past the halfway point. So we wanted to kind of take this opportunity and, again, in our effort to try to figure out what this damn team is, because neither one of us.
I don't want my damn vegetables.
Neither one of us can we don't know.
Neither one of us can feel love anymore. We are soulless husks floating through the hockey universe.
So we're gonna kind of look at some of their stats. We're gonna look at some of the big storylines going to the second half, and then we're gonna give out some superlatives because we are the content boys and we provide the content. So let's start with some kind of big overarching stats. So the Sharks currently 48 points out of 46 games at 522 clip. Currently, so we're recording this Tuesday night. I know there's a couple more games that have to be played before the league goes into its spring break. But the Sharks' offense has been pedestrian at best. They have 125 goals, which puts them at 22nd, right in the right behind the Red Wings, the Devils, the Stars, Kings. Kind of
Noted offensive powerhouses.
noted
A lot
offensive
of them.
powerhouses. And then goals allowed.
A lot.
141. That's the 10th most. Right around the Florida Panthers, which are an offensive juggernaut, so they can get away with it.
When you score like 7 goals a game, who cares how many you let in?
Yeah, they have 192 goals, just to put it in reference. The Philadelphia Flyers in their multiple 10-game losing streaks, the Blackhawks, the Sens, the Oilers, teams like that. So, yeah, wow, the Panthers have
Good company.
Yes, the Panthers have 192 goals, and the Avs are second at 178. I mean, Avs have played four less games, but anyway,
they're not going to score 20-something goals in 4 games.
Let me check their
schedule.
schedule.
They might actually. They might. I take that back. Math is hard.
Yeah. Power play. So the Sharks are at 18.8%, which is 20th, right around. That's the Canucks, the Wild, Sens, Blackhawks are kind of in the same area. Penalty kill, which has been kind of a staple for the Sharks recently, they are 6th, 83.5%. That puts them right around the Flames, Ducks, Bruins, Rangers, Blues. So that's, yeah, it's weird. They don't let it, their penalty kill is good, but their 5-on-5 defense is still, it's better than what it was last year, but not as good as it could be.
I mean, a 3-legged cat is better than a 2-legged cat, but we're still missing legs.
Yes. Leading scorers, Timo Meier, of course, leads in points. Hertl leads in goals, and then Timo Meier also leads in assists as well. The goaltenders, which has been we've kind of talked about.
There's been 3.
There's been 3. Our boy Sawchenko with his
NHL too
beautiful for this world. But the goalies, I think, have been. I mean, we talked about going into the season, if the goaltending can be middle of the pack, the Sharks could be a lot better. And I think we've seen that where, like Adin Hill definitely has been more up and down between the two. But so right now, Adin Hill, his stats this year: 9 wins, 11 losses, 1 overtime loss, 30th record. Goals against per game, 2.78, which is the 23rd. Save percentage, 901, tied for 35th with 1 shutout. Our beloved James Reimer, who can do no wrong. 13-9-3 record, 281 goals against per game, 915 save percentage, which is tied for 14th, and also 1 shutout. And then Sawchenko, 1.56.
I just said it.
Oh, Godchenko. 952 save percentage. So if he just played him all year with that percentage, it'd be fine, right? Why did we talk about
Vezina caliber goaltending right there?
Yeah. So I just kind of, I think we've talked about before, where the formula for the Sharks is they have to win the 3-2 games and just don't get blown out 7-3 every night, and that's kind of their formula to try to make the playoffs here. So, but before we continue, we got to talk about our good friends over at Bet Online. As I pull up the thing. Bet Online's got you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football continues its march through the playoffs right to the big game in a couple weeks. BetOnline.net remains the best spot for your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. It's not just football. BetOnline's got you covered up to the minute with info on pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, all along with live real-time updates on current games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the new amazing offers available for the 2022 season. BetOnline, where the game starts. Kyle.
John.
What? Nobody calls me that. What do you think is the biggest kind of storyline going into the second half of the season for the Sharks here?
I think the actual biggest story should be, will Tomas Hertl sign or will he get traded? but I think that you could make a reasonable argument about the Sharks playoff thing. I don't know if it's a push.
Playing every game.
They just don't have. They have so many games. They don't have any games in hand. There's so many games in hand for everybody else.
Let's start with the Hertl one because I mean I think that's the biggest one because that answers the other question.
A lot of dominoes.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest domino for the Sharks is what do you do with Hertl? And we've discussed previously what you could potentially get for him. And we've talked about I think signing him is a lot easier, especially with the Evander Kane. We still are kind of waiting to find out the full fallout of that, but having Evander Kane's contract off the books or mostly off the books really kind of does pave the way for Hertl. And, there's something to be said about having that guy to kind of help pass the keys on to the next core. But then, as we talked about before, you don't want to fall into the same trap that we've done with Burns, Vlasic, falling into the trap with Couture. Carlson, these guys who you're signing into these long-term deals, and by midway through the contract, they're just a shell of their former selves. So, I think that's, and I honestly expect we won't know until right before the trade deadline, and I think Doug Wilson's going to wait as long as possible to make a move on this.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be right before, but I think trade deadline's in a weird time this year. It's like mid-March or end March or something like that. So we always see trades in those like 3 weeks leading up, and I think that if they are going to trade Hertl, then that like 3 weeks early before the day is probably the best time because he can be with the team longer and get more acclimated rather than that mad dash at the deadline and things go through. But from a straight math standpoint, Hertl makes like 5.25 or 5.6 or something like that right now. So if you he comes off the books. Now you have an extra 5.6, 5.5 plus Kane's 7. If you bump him up to 7 or 8, you're just basically using the Kane slot for Hertl now. Because I don't know, Hertl's probably not going to make much more than like 8.5, right? Like is he going to be a $9 million player?
I don't think he's a $9 million player, but I think in a $7.5, $8 million is probably right in there.
If you do $7 million per for 8 years, I mean, like that's 56. Like that could be in the range, but then you're basically freeing up the Hertl 5 and change.
Yeah,
what you're doing.
The Sharks cap situation next year is going to be a little bit better than we projected. I mean, this is without the Hertl contract, but right now, according to Cap Friendly, they've got just about $20 million going into the cap next year. And they're only like they got to do. They're going to have to resign Dahlin. They're going to have to figure out what they want to do with, like some sort of deal for Ferraro, who's still an RFA, but he's going to get a raise type of thing,
Well, not. I wouldn't be too worried about that because Doug Wilson plays the hardest of hardballs with RFAs.
Yeah.
So Timo or
Barabanov's gonna, if you want to resign Barabanov, like he's gonna need, he's gonna get a bump from his $1 million contract. Like they do have a couple guys, but they don't really have like that big guy that they got to worry about
next year with Timo.
It's the Timo one that's coming down the pipeline, and the way he's been playing this year, he's going to if he continues up the way he's playing this year and how we expect him, if this is the new Timo, like he's going to deserve every penny that he gets. So if he's going to be a potential dark horse Hart candidate for the next 4 or 5 years type of guy, like yes, please pay him all the money. So I think that the Hertl one's going to be that's the big domino, I think, for the Sharks. Correct?
Is Hertl? Yes.
Yeah.
So, there's if you re-sign Hertl, then you're basically saying we got to go for it. And then you've got to go for it in the next few years. Well, he's still valid, but like that's a harder task to do than being like, okay, let's take a step back, trade Hertl, get a whole bunch of stuff, and then rejigger and spend the next few years in the wilderness or like a year in the wilderness and go forward with Timo as the leader. Of the new core, and the old guys can do whatever.
Yeah, because you'll start to filter out your Burns and your
Vlasic. He's here until the heat sink death of the universe.
Yeah, him and Carlson just hold it down on that third line 8 years from now.
So that's kind of the big decision. And honestly, like I said in yesterday's show, I'm at 51%. He signs 49%. He says no, I want to go to a contender. So like honestly, it could go either way, and it wouldn't surprise me either way. I just don't want to see him sign to this monster contract for monster years, and then in 3 or 4 years, we're having the same conversation that we're having with Vlasic and stuff. So
yeah. I think another one that we kind of touched on too is we may not even know is what the actual fallout with the Evander Kane, so it's going to go to arbitration.
I'm assuming nothing.
Years, but
what are they going to do? They've already let him terminate the contract.
But you don't know if it might be like a Mike Richards thing where they settle and then they got to if it might be like a small amount on the cap, but it's still
but I don't think with Mike Richards they just like terminated him and it was all done and signed and he went somewhere else. I think there was a whole rigmarole. Like Evander Kane plays for the Oilers, like he's gone. I don't know how you can go backwards and be like, just kidding, you now owe money. Like I'm assuming the NHL is just gonna be like, whoop, under the rug we go, moving on.
Which would be the perfect.
Which would be nice. Oh, as Sharks fans, that would be
Sharks
ideal.
Fans, yes, but you still want until like it's resolved. I think it's still kind of that little black cloud that's hanging over the this whole process with it's like, yeah, it's nice to have this money that you could be able to potentially spend if like I said, if you don't want to re-sign Hertl, you can be actual players in the free agent market. If you want to try to find young guys to add to your core, we'll get into the free agency when we get closer to the end of the season, but you're going to actually have money for the first time in a while where you actually do something with it, right? And be able to, instead of just trying to bring in your Beninos and your Coglianos on, $1 million deals, you might actually be able to go out and try to acquire a big piece type of thing. But, or if that's what the Sharks want to do, they'll have options coming into this next off season. So, but taking care of this Evander Kane thing is going to be, I think once that's actually done, that'll be the best, Yeah. Should we talk about Rock Auto?
Yes. Let's.
Good. Let's.
Because this episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. The ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, there's so many cars on the road, it's now impossible for your local chain, your auto parts store, to stock all the parts you need. Why injure? Often pointless and dumb, let's be honest. Questions, is your Honda an LX or an EX? Well, it's frustrating. We've all been there. And then you got to wait while the person behind the counter just clacks into their computer and does their thing. Then they come up and they inevitably have another question that you don't know the answer to, and then you have to figure it out. And then the warehouse only has one brand, and it's not really the best option. You have computers in your pocket usually. We all have pocket computers now. You can access rockauto.com right at home or on the road or wherever you are. So just save that time of going into your auto shop du jour, and you can just use Rock Auto. Why choose to spend 30, 50, or even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or car dealership? One of our listeners actually used our code, and they bought $5 windshield wipers, which is like a 400% savings because windshield wipers are weirdly annoying. They're like that $25 range. It's very odd.
And that's even if you get the cheap ones. If you want real good
ones.
Like
good ones, like the Rain-X ones that are good. Yeah,
they're
yeah, and they die out. Yeah, one of our listeners bought $5 windshield wipers, and she said that they are great. So there you go. Real anecdotal evidence. Rock Auto is also a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. JD, do you like to do it yourself? He was muted, so go explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution for your auto parts need. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in there. How did you hear about us box so they know we sent you? Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. All right, JD, let's do some funness and let's get out of here.
Yes. All right, let's start out with who is your team MVP, Kyle?
This one's pointless because it's Timo Meier.
It's Timo Meier.
It's like who else would it be besides Timo?
So James Reimer helped solidify the goaltending after 3 years of wilderness. Tomas Hertl, who's leading the team in goals, and has been, kind of been Tomas Hertl. So Erik Karlsson.
I think
Erik Karlsson before he died, his beautiful death.
Yeah.
So
I think even with Timo, he was a little streaky there, whereas Timo's been a lot more consistent. And with Reimer, he did have that down stretch, and it's hard when they're still losing games and stuff like that. I just think it's Timo. It's very obviously Timo's the best player in the team right now. That's just the way it is. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah,
it's Timo Meier. So okay, Next, where did I write these down? Who's your biggest surprise for this season?
Biggest surprise. Jacob Middleton, baby. He came out of nowhere. He was just a dude in the AHL. He's like 26 or whatever. Like, I don't know how you do it. And he paired with Erik Karlsson, and they were awesome. They were the top defensive pair, and Middleton didn't look out of place. I think there's a lot of guys that surprised or did a little bit better, but Middleton was awesome, man.
Yeah, Middleton's really good. He's well worthy. I'm going to give it to Barabanov, who you and I were both like 9-game sample size, whatever. This guy bounced around, couldn't crack the Toronto lineup, and has been ridiculously good. We've been impressed with his vision and his ability to kind of create offense with his passing and find Timo and Hertl. And, he's been a top 6 forward for the Sharks. And yeah, like, again, we were both these guys we wrote off going to the season. Like, Middleton, why are they?
We didn't write off Barabanov. We were just like, he has a 9-game sample size.
Plus, we just like knowing Rudy more.
So. Yeah, and it's not like and like Middleton was around the Sharks. And he was just in the AHL. It was like mediocre. So, like,
and every time he played for the Sharks, he like got into a fight or he played like 5 minutes a game, and So
you're going with Barabanov. I'm gonna
go with Barabanov.
So budding superstar Jacob Middleton.
Yes, I mean, you can't fight when someone's middle name is literally superstar. So, who is your biggest disappointment this season?
Mario Ferraro.
Oh, I had a feeling.
I don't know what to say. He just
the man came back from dental surgery.
That's fine. And I would like to point out,
disappointed. He should have come back the next day.
Should have come back same game, buddy. That's a real true Canadian right there. Those guys from King City are soft as baby poo. No, but Ferraro had obviously his on a trajectory to be a top 4 guy, playing big minutes, defensively solid, stuff like that. And people need to just not look at ice time and be like, big minutes equals reliable and good. That Burns-Ferraro pair was a disaster for most of the season. I don't think, even when everybody was out and Ferraro was asked to do a lot of stuff, obviously contextually he was asked to do a lot more, and he did, and it was okay, but like, he wasn't that good at doing more. You know what I mean? He just hasn't. I think we were all expecting another pretty solid solidifying step where he's kind of that tweener. Maybe he's not the first pair guy, but he's your third best D or something like that. And I just don't think he's been that. It just hasn't been the season that I think everybody was hoping for from him. And I'm not trying to say Mario Ferraro is bad or anything like that. I just think
he just hasn't made that next jump that we were really expecting.
Yeah. And he's been not that great on the whole on aggregate this season.
Do you think if he was playing with like a Karlsson before Karlsson got hurt, do you think it might be just the pairing or the situation?
Maybe, but like his isolated stats weren't that great.
Yeah.
So I don't think playing with Burns helps, but like, I think he's just asked to do a lot, and maybe it was a little bit too quick. I'm not sure, but I just don't think it was what we were all expecting. And he just ends up playing a lot of minutes because he's reliable and he got an A and stuff like that. So it kind of masks what he's doing. So anyway, not trying to say he's bad. I just think we wanted more.
I'm going to give mine to Kevin LeBanc. The Sharks paid him a lot of money to be a top 6 winger. Started the season on the 4th line, was healthy scratched at a point. And then he got injured. And I mean, the shoulder injury, that's not his fault, type of thing. But like, when you're paying a guy, $5 million and he's playing on your 4th line, that's bad. That's, and we were expecting him to contribute offensively and kind of, be like a Balsers or Barabanov type of guy where they, he can score and he can help, maybe not drive play, but he can help. If you paired him with a Timo and a Hertl and then LeBanc is your sniper on that line. But again, when you're on the 4th line and you're getting healthy scratched and you're getting paid that much money, it's a big disappointment.
Yeah. So, good choice.
Good choice. Yeah.
It's going to be a tough offseason to figure out what to do with him.
Yeah. And I think he should be back mid-March. So he's going to have a kind of, a nice month to kind of
games.
Kind of showcase what to do with him, and if he comes back and he starts to contribute and stuff, then you can kind of figure out maybe refresh, next season. But if he's bad, then you might need to just kind of eat the contract sum and try to trade him or something just to get him, free up that
I don't know. It's
space.
good. We gotta. That's one where we gotta wait till the end of the season. If you can trade him at the deadline, trade him. But he's gonna be
Nobody's
coming
going
off
to trade for a guy
injury.
coming off shoulder surgery that with no games played right now. So.
And it's not like he was really good beforehand, and people will want him. It's just that
because then you're going to get killed in that trade. So then that might be something where you might need to look at a fresh start. All right, best on ice moment for you this season. I'll go.
Say Timo's 5 goals.
Timo's 5 goals. Yes. Timo's 5 goals. Let's go. Also, just Erik Karlsson doing Erik Karlsson things, just being a wizard. But Timo's 5 goals because it was just like a Monday afternoon that nobody expected, and then just like, it's
definitely the high point.
Yes,
I'm sure we're forgetting something fun that happened early in the season.
Hertl,
William Eklund scoring the goal against Vegas in the preseason. Can that count?
Yes, just William
ruled.
Eklund. How about William Eklund spinoramas in the offensive zone, and when dudes are trying to check him, and he's just like, nope.
Best on ice moment is William Eklund and Ugarden going out of the zone and then flipping the puck backwards over 2 defenders to spring his teammate for a breakaway. That's the best one.
Yes. Did you see the chaos he caused the other day?
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's so great. I know. I can't wait to watch him again. So, worst on ice moment.
Take your pick.
For me, it's the 5-minute major they got off in the Red Wings game from the Middleton hit, and then they give up 2 shorthanded goals in a 5-minute major. That is that one right there. Just brutal. That's my worst.
Yeah. I don't know. Worst. They're kind of just all blending together.
Anytime Aiden Hill has to play the puck.
Anytime Aiden Hill has to use his glove hand. Anytime Noah Gregor's on a breakaway. that's
the Cagliano breakaway too.
Where he just passed it to the goalie. He's just like, here you go, man.
Would you like to ice this for me? You want to melt this down? Here you go.
Yeah, I don't know. Worst is maybe getting smoked 7-1 against Tampa, I guess, because it's just like it's crushing. I don't know. You know what was a contender for best on ice moment when they beat the Leafs?
Oh yeah, that was good. And the Leafs fan threw the jersey on the ice 4 games into the season.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Good times. All right, we'll be back tomorrow with stuff.
Oh, that was it. That's
it.
Thanks.
Yeah, unless you got any more you can think of.
No, I came unprepared.
That's pretty usual.
That's not true. We need to change this narrative that I don't do anything.
That you hate the Sharks.
I founded this goddamn podcast.
You hate the Sharks.
I found the opportunity, got us hired, then I brought you guys on board and kept going. I've done what? I created the brand, the content voice. I created a lot of nicknames. I've done so many things. It's just you're also the producer.
This is all getting cut, so nobody's going to hear it.
No, it's not. Leave it in here. If you would like to tweet at us or get at us at Facebook or Instagram, you can do that at Locked On Sharks on all 3. JD puts up her work on Facebook and Instagram, so you can interact with us there. Twitter, we both have access, so you get your choice of boy that day. Phrasing.
You get 2 options.
Yes, you can specify which one you would like to interact with. We will see it. Email lockedonsharks@gmail.com. We just rattled off a slew of them. If you haven't emailed us, thank you for your service, everybody. YouTube, Locked On Sharks. Keep marching. We want to get to 1,000 eventually. We're halfway there. A little more than halfway, actually. Optimism. Locked On Sharks, subscribe there. All are welcome. Unless you're a Nazi, don't come. There's lots of those on YouTube. Listen to us, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, the usual suspects. JD is at my fry hole.
Kyle, who actually does a lot of work. He's the one who gets all of our interviews, so he does all that. Yes, Kyle does a lot of that work. So Kyle is at Kyle Demetrius. We'll be back tomorrow with the first of our prospect profiles.
It's a surprise because I don't know which one's going first.
Yeah. Prospect.
Denver prospects.
So yeah, we'll first of our draft profiles tomorrow, and then we've got 3 more lined up for next week. So draft profiles galore coming for you guys. So also go check out Locked On Bets, Locked On NHL if you want to go learn more or get caught up with the Olympic coverage. or one of the other great podcasts, such as
Locked On Thunder.
that must be that must be a slog to talk about that team all the time.
No, they have Josh Giddey.
Yeah, they're pretty giddy. And a
He's
1,000
from
draft
Australia.
picks.
He's a rookie. He's in the rookie of the year conversation.
Yeah, and 1,000 draft picks. Do you think they just
1,000 draft picks?
literally 1,000?
Do you think Sam Presti just goes home and just wanks one out to his draft board?
He's got little cutouts that he just spreads
He's
on the
like,
bed.
oh yeah, first round picks. It's like, oh yeah, 55th overall. Oh
yeah.
second rounder.